Hello, everyone, and welcome to Portrait Painting in Oils, Watercolors, and Pastels. All right, so this video is going to be somewhat of what we would cover on the first day if this were an in-person class or a class that had Zoom meetings. All right, so what I'm going to do is just kind of go over my Canvas page, give everyone a tour of the Canvas page and kind of how the course is structured and where to find what you need to find each week. I'm also going to kind of go over the syllabus and supplies and just kind of introduce you to how this class is going to work and everything. So first of all, hello again, my name is Jessica Beck. I'm going to be your instructor, and this is our welcome page here. Um, I am relatively new to the Emeritus program. I started here in January of 2024. I was born in California, but grew up in California and Hawaii. I went to art school in New York City and kind of recently spent a lot of time in the Pacific Northwest. So I'm very, very happy to be back in California and happy to be back here teaching all of you wonderful people. All right. So just, you can see that I have the student view toggled. So this should be this should reflect what you all will see when you log into Canvas. All right, so I'm going to go over this welcome page first. And the first thing I want to say is that this class has no Zoom meetings. So how this class is going to work, I have right here. So each week, I'm going to post demonstrations that I recorded and that I put on YouTube. All right, so that has the advantage of flexibility, right? So I have several students who are nurses and mentioned that their schedule kind of changes and in different cycles each week. So if you have a constantly kind of changing schedule, or you want to be free on certain days to go off and do your own thing, then this class has the advantage of you being able to watch those demonstrations on your own time each week. I will probably have new work up each week by Tuesday morning. All right. Anyhow, I'm going to post YouTube demos each week, Tuesday morning. I may get them up early, sometimes Monday or, maybe even Sunday. Anyhow, you can watch them. You can pause, rewind, take notes, watch again and again if you want. All right. Then you're going to photograph your work and post it in the discussion board. And the discussion board it is our way of providing that interaction with your classmates that is, it's different, but it's somewhat the like analogy to class participation. If this were an in-person class, you'd be able to kind of walk around the room and see what everyone else is doing and get inspiration and encouragement from each other by looking at your work. So I do ask that you post your work when you do it, which you should do all your work, and then also comment on your classmates and give them some feedback and encouragement. All right, so that's the discussion board. And then lastly, I will be looking at your work each week, and I will record myself talking about everyone's work and post announcements where I have links to YouTube videos of me giving you feedback on your work. All right, so that's kind of the cycle. So it gives you flexibility as a student. You don't have to have something on your calendar where you attend a meeting each week, and it gives me, as your instructor, flexibility. So if I feel like looking at everyone's work Sunday at 1 a.m., I can do that. All right, so that gives kind of everyone a little bit of flexibility, and that's the beauty of the asynchronous class. All right, so like I said, that's not for everybody, but it does have the advantage of having those YouTube videos. I do want to say that after the semester is over, I am going to go into my YouTube channel and delete all of the feedback videos that I made for all of you throughout the semester, your feedback, because I do hundreds of those every semester, and my YouTube channel just would have thousands and thousands of feedback videos, and I wouldn't be able to find anything. And I don't think I have an unlimited number of videos I can upload. I don't know. Anyhow, they're going to be deleted, so you can just make your own screen recording if you want to hang on to those feedback videos. All right. Now, Canvas, I'm going to direct your attention over here to the left to this vertical navigation bar, aka the nav bar. If you see this little hamburger up here, sandwich, whatever you want to think of it as, you click on it, that can go away. If you don't have your nav bar, click on that, it will come back. All right, go to modules. Modules is where you will find everything you need for the semester. So we have our welcome, our course information, and we have our weekly work. This is going to be discussion boards, and these are going to be published once a week, like I mentioned, Tuesday mornings. All right, so right now we only have one. I have some others that you can't see because I'm in student view, and I'm going to publish them once a week. So as the semester goes on, you'll be able to see them populating down there. All right. this is where we just were. I'm going to open our syllabus here. So I'm not going to read the entire thing, but I'm just going to kind of go through the info. All right, so syllabus, here's my name, email, information. I do ask that you please use the inbox over here to communicate with me. All right, the reason is if you go to this inbox, send me a message from there. I will be able to see it when I log into Canvas, but also it is going to send me an email. All right, so I am a department chair starting this fall, and I'm going to have many, many emails every day. And I will see them in my inbox, but I will also be able to, I will see them in my regular email, but if I log on to Canvas and go here to my inbox, I will be able to see that like, oh, I have all these messages from students, and I will be much less likely to uh, overlook your email or lose your email, right? So I have certain times of the week I'm going to sit down in Canvas and make sure I didn't miss any student emails. So it's just going to be easier for me to not lose your email, to not lose track of it if you send it to, throughout the Canvas messaging system. All right. So technology requirements, you need Canvas, which is this website that I am on right now. All right. And basically the ability to watch videos on YouTube and stuff. Moving on, student learning outcomes and topics covered. These are from the course description that has been approved by the state of California. All right, so here are some topics that I'm going to cover. And I also want to talk about the structure of the assignments for this course. All right, so I'm not going to really read. You can go on Canvas and read these yourself. I'm going to, again, go back here to modules. And you can see the other things I haven't talked about yet are the supplies and the scheduled projects and supplies for the summer. Right, so I'm going to click on this here. So this course is called Portrait Painting in Oils, Watercolors, and Pastels. All right, that is 3 different mediums. And that is, I want to say, a little confusing to me as an instructor about how to approach this class. So I taught this in the summer of 2024, and the way I approached it was, not making everyone buy every medium, because I know that it's a big investment for each one. If you're going to go out and buy oil paint and paintbrushes and mediums to mix with your paint and all that stuff, that's kind of a big investment. And then doing the same thing for watercolor and then doing the same thing for pastel, that's kind of a lot of money, right? So what I'm doing for this semester is I'm kind of switching between a different medium each project, and I have kind of mixed together my schedule, projects, lesson plan, and the supplies. So you can see I say what we're going to be doing each week. I say the supplies I'm going to be using each week. All right. So if some people have all these supplies already, if that's you, that's great. You can just use whatever supplies I'm using each week. If you don't, then you can follow along. You can watch my demos and follow along in your chosen medium as best you can. All right. Certain things, if I'm doing like the pastels, if I'm doing watercolor and you have oil paint, it's going to be a different it's going to be a different look, but you can try to follow along as best as you can. Another reason I put this like this is so you can look ahead and be like, okay, if I want to invest in, so this trois, so I'm not a French speaker, so please forgive me if you are, the trois crayon. So that means 3 colors, black, white, and earthy red. Those are not a huge investment, but you could look ahead and be like, aha, look, week 6 and 7, we're going to be using charcoal. But anyways, you can see if you buy, charcoal, there's charcoal is going to be used a number of different weeks. So you can also see like, oh, if I buy these colors, I'm never going to use them again for the rest of the semester for this class anyways. All right. So that's why I've structured this like this. I want to say that I did put links to certain supplies, and I'm using Blick as my as the thing that I'm linking to. You do not have to use Blick. All right. In fact, all of the supplies I link to are my personal favorites. You can feel free to use your own personal favorites if maybe you don't have a lot of experience and you're just kind of getting into art, into a certain medium, a specific medium. That's why I'm giving you these suggestions. But this brush, I like it. It's $4. It's very decent for this specific brush. You can get this one, or you can get something different but similar. All right. And if you have any questions about the supplies, please ask me. All right. So anyways, schedule projects and supplies. Blick, They give free shipping on $59 orders and only $3 shipping for $35 orders. But yeah, again, you don't have to use Blick. I just use them because they are handy. They have everything. They have everything, almost everything. And they just, it's handy to, show you guys what I'm talking about. All right. So this is my, again, I'm going to be publishing, I'm going to go back to modules here actually so I can talk about this. I don't think I talked about this yet. So the way our class is going to work is I'm going to publish a discussion board each week, right? This is where it's going to show up. Right now, we only have week 1, all right? And you can see that, okay, I have a little introduction here, but the discussion board, this is where I'm going to post your work, your assignments for the week. This is where you're going to post your work. And this is going to be where you're going to comment on everybody else. All right, so you can see I have a list of what I want you to do in the order that I want you to do it. All right, so here, please check out my course info module, which is this right here. All right. Watch my Canvas tour, which is the video I'm recording right now. So when I'm done with this video, it's going to appear here as a link. So watch my Canvas tour. Then I have a link to a demo. All right. Anatomy of the face and head demo. You click on it. It's going to open YouTube. Here it is, my head demo, okay. Right? And do some draw along notes. Use whatever medium you want to. All right. And then, watch this demo, that demo. And then number 6, make a post here, introduce yourself, and include pictures of your drawings from steps 3, 4, and 5, and then comment on your classmates. So I try to make a very clear list in order, what to do, what to watch, what to do, what to post each week. All right. You're going to post. If you don't know how to post, you just hit here and reply. If you don't know how to post an image, now this is a little different if you have a phone or an iPad, but you just want to press this thing, upload image. You can drag and drop, or you could click here to browse your computer. I have like a little picture of Rembrandt here. I click open. Now, one thing you want to make sure, if you have an iPhone, you want to have something that says like JPEG. See, these say .jpeg here. You can't click something that says .webp. And you can't post something that says .heic. All right. I'm trying to look. So iPhones have .heic, and you can go in your iPhone settings, camera, and then click most compatible. All right. And that will make your phone take. See, these say HEIC, right? A lot of iPhones default to that, and these are grayed out, meaning I can't post them. It will look like they're posted, but then no one else will be able to see it. All right. Anyhow, I'm going to cancel here. So this is where all that good stuff happens each week. All right, going home. Homepage, modules. All right, so that's each week. It's just I'm gonna publish it each week, just so it's not confusing to have them all published at once. Again, if you want to look ahead and see what we're gonna do, you can always go to this schedule projects and supplies for semester and see what my plan is. I don't plan on changing my plan, but it's a plan, so plans can change sometimes. But for the most part, this is the schedule we're going to go off of. All right. Last part of this talk is going to be supplies. All right. So I already showed you how I have supplies for each project. And you can choose whether or not you want to buy the specific supplies I'm going to be using for that project. And actually, I want to go back. I keep remembering other stuff I wanted to say. When I taught this in summer, I did not, I was a little unsure of how to go about the class because we had, like I said, oil, acrylic painters, watercolor, and I just kind of did some projects and let everyone follow along with their own mediums. And I even had a few people that just had one portrait they wanted to work on for the entire semester, like a portrait of somebody related to them usually, and they're just wanting to work on that every day and get, my feedback, which was fun because that class, it was a little bit more freewheeling in what I was doing for that class. That is not the case for this class. I have plans. I have so I'm letting everyone just kind of get into portraiture, like wading in one step deeper, all semester long. So I have some anatomy talks. So some of these, if you were in my class already, some of these talks are, the anatomy talks are the same lectures, but I'm really mixing it up with the different projects. All right, so we're learning the anatomy. We're learning about the anatomy of the skull. We're going into different techniques now with the trois crânes, which is what's his name? Boucher was really, getting the approximation of skin tone with 3 limited palette pastels, right? Doing a little watercolor, doing a little bit of like gesture drawing to learn how to capture what you see. And then at the end, using the portrait as a form of expression, using the portraiture and coming up with your own kind of creative work. All right. So that focuses more on concepts than techniques. That's about a little bit about the structure and the content and how I'm approaching this concept of all these different mediums as they apply to portraiture. All right, now the last thing we're doing is the regular supplies. So here's the supplies as it relates to each project. Here's my kind of general supplies you're going to need just in life in general. All right. So I'm saying again, look at the other thing for specific supplies. One thing we are going to need is people to paint. All right. So this is not a live class. We are not going to obviously have models. You're going to need to look at someone. Nobody just make up somebody from their head. All right. You need photo references. I have a folder here that I'm going to share with you. I just grabbed these off the internet. Some are celebrities. Some are just normal people. And I selected these because they are good references in terms of having a mixture of light and shadow on them. All right. You can feel free to use those or find your own. However, where were we? We were here. All right. However, do not use bad photos. All right. So what do I mean bad photos? So I have a few examples of things not to do. All right. So please do not just gather photos of your friends and family just because you love them. All right. Unless they're actually like good photos. All right. School pictures usually have terrible lighting. Terrible. All right. People put these mirrors, these reflective things that try to eliminate shadows. Shadows are your friend. All right. I'm going to look here. So look at these two fellows here. They're both like beautiful people. All right. However, this is not a good reference photo. Notice the lack of shadow, i.e. the uniform lighting. All right. Now we're going to look at this guy. He has lighting that is much more conducive to painting. All right. So look at what we see right here. I can see the mid-tone, mid-light mass, highlight, turning, shadows. See these shadows? Again, shadows are our friends. We as painters use the difference between light, highlight, turning, shadow, reflected light. See, this is how we model the form. This is how we sculpt the form and show form. Okay. Look at the hair. We have these medium highlights, mid darks, bright highlights, really deep shadows, all of the stuff. And you can see it's overall showing the difference in, form, and it helps us as a painter to show the three-dimensionality of any given person, right? This guy, now this is a great photo. If you asked a photographer, yeah, it's probably a great skillfully made portrait. However, as painters, it doesn't, just because it's a good portrait, a good photograph does not mean it's a good reference photo. All right, there's really not a lot of shadow, right? If we look between the eyes, so there's a lot happening between the eyes. This comes out, this is pretty deep back in here, right? This is a lot of three-dimensional stuff happening in here. This shadow is going to make it easy for us as painters to depict that. There's really not a lot, okay? There's a little bit, okay, but there's not a lot, and that's going to make it, this is going to look flat, right? This color over here, it's very, this value, this and this are very similar. This is a little tiny bit greener in temperature. This is a tiny bit more orange in temperature, but the difference is so small. It's very hard for us as a painter, right? As painters, right? The distance between the eyes here is going to appear bigger than it is because we can't see that three-dimensional in and out and in and out happening between the nose. It's going to make your person's eyes look too far apart. It's going to make them look like an alien, right? If you can't get that light and shadow. So anyways, that's what to look for, a side light, right? So the light is coming from the side here. This light, where is it coming from? Everywhere. All right. Anyhow, gonna move on. Composite. Okay, this is another one, bad for, many reasons. Selfies. All right, I have friends send me selfies. It's not a good idea to use that as your reference photo. All right. Or taking one from taking your own selfie. All right. This is a quick, very good demonstration of wide-angle lens distortion. The camera on your phone is a wide-angle lens, and in short, wide-angle lenses exaggerate how big things are if they're slightly closer to the camera. So his nose, this is what this person looks like. Notice the size of his nose relative to the size of the face, right? Look at as you get more and more wide angle lens, how big his nose looks relative to his face, right? Cell phone camera is going to be probably in this range depending how long or short your arms are, all right? Also, things that are slightly farther away from the camera will look tiny. Notice in this picture, he has ears. I see his ears. It's great. He looks, you know, a person with ears. Look how they kind of get de-emphasized and like disappear as you get wider and wider, all right? So it depends on how long your arm is. If you take a picture here, you're going to be more like over here. I'm not a tall person. I have like short arms, I'm like, I can only take a picture from that far away. Someone else takes a picture of me, it's gonna be better. All right. Anyhow, another example, okay. If this is somebody they send you this picture, oh, she looks so beautiful. Yes, but just don't use that as your reference photo. Okay. All right. So reference photos, like I said, you can find your own from the internet. You can use mine that I found, in here that I popped in there. You can see I chose one specifically that they have, a nice light and shadow and something that is going to be easier for you to use as a photographer. Okay. As a painter, sorry. Painter. Anyhow, moving on. Easels. I have a separate video about how to use an easel, so I'm going to post that as well. So I'm going to skip that part and just let you watch that other video. But anyways, just really quickly, you need one. You need a way to stand your painting or drawing up. You cannot do it at a table. You can prop the back of it up, okay? But just, I'll have another video explaining why. All right, something to take notes with. You're going to need some sort of sketchbook just to follow along and take notes. I talk a lot. Other supplies, artist tape or masking tape. All right, artist tape is like 5 times the cost of masking tape, but is slightly less likely to pull paper off when you're done with it. Ivory soap, if you're an oil painter, just to wash your paintbrushes. A mask. Now, even before the pandemic, I would say this to my students, if you are using charcoal, the end of the day, you blow your nose, it's going to be black. That's just, using charcoal, using pastel, that's going to happen. You can choose to, post-pandemic world, everyone's got some masks laying around. You can use that for like the messy part if you want. All right, if you're sensitive to dust, I recommend an apron. Gojo is my favorite hand cleaner. Even if I get charcoal all over my hands, I like to use that. I'll show you what it is here. Gojo hand cleaner. There you go. You can get this Ace Hardware, Home Depot. This is it's basically hand soap that auto mechanics use to get oil off their hands. If you're an oil painter, this stuff is the best. It's got pumice in it, so it's ground up rocks. Basically it feels like a scrubby scrub, and it gets motor oil off of the hands of mechanics, and I love it for oil painting. Anyhow, I like mechanical pencils, kneaded rubber eraser, ballpoint pens, all that kind of stuff for drawing and sketching. I know this is portrait painting, but I'm going to be giving a lot of anatomy kind of lectures, and you can use whatever you want to take notes. All right, now paint colors. If you have oil, if you have acrylic, if you have watercolor, if you have pastels, these are the colors I recommend that you have. Okay, so this project, I recommend doing a limited palette, so just white, black, and a warm color such as earth red. All right, but if you don't have paint and you want to invest in just the smallest number of tubes of paint possible, this is what I recommend, these 3 colors. All right, moving on, if you are a painter or you want to just buy paint, these are the colors I recommend. A balanced palette. All right, so I have them kind of listed. Your neutrals, your umber, black and white, earth palette colors. You need these ones to survive, but these ones that say optional are, a little bit, they're ones that I use a lot. All right. Here, prismatic colors, there's a lot more. So you need a hot red, a cold red, a pink, a hot yellow, these are neutral blues. And then I also like, I don't have it here. I also like to have a hot, a cold blue, such as phthalo blue or Prussian blue. But these are kind of like your neutrals, a deep dark green, and optional like other reds. All right, so watercolorists, this goes for you too. right? But I also recommend some sort of white gouache or acrylic to go with your watercolors because portraiture, it's so fun to put on little highlights like eyeball highlights, hair highlights, and just having some sort of opacity gouache or white acrylic to just go on there, right? So that's kind of it for my supplies. All right, I talk about the certain paper, paintbrushes on here. All right, everyone. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna cut it off there. I look forward to seeing everyone's work each week. All right.